Being involved in both fine arts and sports is a discussion that has led to many different opinions and perspectives. From some people saying you can't do both, and some people saying it's completely possible to do both. With one of the more opinionated discussions being whether or not you can do marching band and football, or really any other fall sport at the same time. Which, just so we're clear, I know for a fact that you can do both at the same time because I've seen students do it time and time again. It just takes some communication, organization, and motivation on the part of the student, guardians, and teachers/coaches. But regardless of your feelings on that specific scenario, we're going to discuss and break down whether or not it's possible to be involved in both fine arts and sports, the pros and cons to both sides, as well as some very practical strategies for those who are involved in both, all in this video. So make sure you stick around and let's get right into the discussion. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Zachary Savinsky, and today I am joined by someone who frankly I have a lot of respect for. He is involved in many different organizations at his high school, but most notably, he is involved in both a fine arts organization and a sport. I am talking about none other than my brother, Nathan Savinsky. Nathan, how are you today?
I'm doing quite lovely. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So Nathan, just for the people out there, obviously I know you very well. I know what you're involved with, but just so everyone has some context, what organizations are you all involved with?
Well, I am involved in varsity basketball. I'm a member of our theater department. I'm a member of our improv team. I am on our school's Thespian Society board as the media and marketing manager.
Okay.
And I am a member of the Michigan State board for Thespian Society.
Really, really cool. And that's a lot of organizations to be involved with.
You're telling me, man.
And we're going to get into a little bit of that later in this video of how exactly you schedule out that time, you block out those times. So we'll get into some practical strategies with that. But I know you're not a musician. Obviously, on this channel, I focus on music education. I am a music educator, musician, percussionist, all of that. But I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from a fellow fine arts organization as well. You're involved a lot in theater.
I am.
And I know for a lot of students who are in high school, middle school, they also do sports too, in addition to wanting to be in band or orchestra or choir, or even theater as well. So I think it's really important that we get the opportunity to talk to you today and kind of get an insight into kind of how you do things.
Yes. And, you know, me not being involved in music is not for a lack of you trying, Zachary.
No, it's not. Nathan did start on trumpet, but that lasted for how many years?
Exactly one.
Exactly 1 year. So, but really has found a niche with theater, and we are really happy about that as well. So, kind of starting to get into it, I just want to ask you point blank, is it possible to be involved in both a fine art and a sport?
No, I'm joking. It is absolutely possible. It is quite realistic, especially when you're in high school. High school is an opportunity to branch out and really think about what you want to do and like what you're interested in and such things. And it doesn't even have to become like your passion or your reason for getting up in the morning, but like I feel like it's your time to experiment. And for the longest time, I was only a part of basketball.
Yeah.
Until I finally made that leap and decided I'm going to audition for the spring show. And I got cast, and I've, in like 1.5 years of being in theater, 1.5, 2 years, I've really just, it's been a whirlwind of like dominoes of just opportunities opening doors for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you have fallen in love with theater so much to the point where you do want to make it your career.
I do.
And you're currently in the process of auditioning for collegiate acting programs. So we are wishing you all the best of luck with that here in the coming months.
Thank you.
I know, obviously, one of the biggest examples people talk about when thinking about fine arts and sports, or in my context, band, is marching band and football, or or any other fall sport. I kind of talked about that earlier in the video here right away, but I think it's completely possible to do both.
Oh, absolutely.
I have seen students do it time and time again. They play their first half of the football game, and then at halftime they're marching out with the band. I've seen cheerleaders do that.
Yeah,
I've seen countless amount of people do that.
I have a multitude of friends who are in both cheerleading and marching band and do both very well and are very successful in both. And even outside of that, like out branching, like even in the broader term of like concert band or orchestra, like a lot of people are involved in that and running track or swimming or like such sports where it's like it's very plausible to do both. You just need to be able to put in the time and the commitment to do both.
Yeah, and I would say also the communication aspect of talking to your teachers, your coaches, and making sure it's all possible as well.
Yeah, for me personally, during the winter, which is basketball season, and obviously our winter show for theater. So my drama teacher and my basketball coach are in constant communication about coordinating practices and when it's okay for me to leave practice a little bit early to get to rehearsal, or if I'm not going to be able to go to rehearsal one day because I have a game or such things. And it all begins with being very open with both, that you are very invested in both and that you are willing to give 100% when you can to both. Because obviously you're not always going to be able to do both all the time, because sometimes conflicts occur.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, being able to have the willingness to work it out and the supportive teachers and directors around you that are going to be willing to make it work.
What would you say about making sure that you are getting in contact with these people as early as possible?
I would say, like, if you get a schedule for the year or like even for the semester, the trimester, like for both sports and fine arts, like swap that immediately and make sure that they are in the know as soon as you are in the know, because it also builds that level of trust that you haven't been withholding this information from them. So it's like, it's that certain level of like a direct line of communication between both. And communication is really what's going to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. It shows that you're 100% in both organizations.
Absolutely.
Not 1 foot out, 1 foot in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think it's important to be well-rounded as a student in these ways, being involved in multiple organizations?
Absolutely. Like, as I said earlier, this is your time to really explore and figure out what you want to do. But this is also no excuse to get out of being a well-rounded student. So if you're going to be involved in multiple organizations, you need to be prepared to put in the time and the commitment that comes with that. Because like being a member of the organizations I can't I have to like map out when like I have to be committed to this, and then I have to figure out when like my commitment for this is. So it's like I can't skimp out on learning lines because like I can't just make an excuse because I'm on the basketball team. Oh, I had practice. Well, then you got to make time. But then I can't also let my academics slip, because that like you are a student athlete or you are a member of like student fine arts. Like student comes before all of it. So like you need to make sure your academics are in order like way before any of this. So it's like if you don't feel like you can handle the commitment, then you just can't handle the commitment. But like if you're willing to put in the time and the effort, it's very plausible.
So you did mention too that you can't let the being in multiple organizations kind of create excuses for not doing the work in other organizations that you're involved with. Would you say, other than that, are there any other cons to being involved in so many organizations?
Well, the common argument nowadays is not being able to specialize in one thing.
Sure.
However, like specialization is a weird topic, because a lot of skills that you will learn in one organization will translate to your other organization.
Sure.
Like being a part of theater has taught me a lot about communication and teamwork, and I carry that over to the basketball team, and like even like lessons about hard work and like perseverance that transfers to the classroom. So it's like, sure, like you may not be specializing on like the violin all the time because you have to devote some time to football practice, but there are lessons that you can learn in football practice or learning the violin that you wouldn't have learned if you didn't do both. So I believe It's a con to some people, but it can be easily turned into a pro with the right mindset.
What have you found difficult about being in both theater and basketball?
Well, time management. I am absolutely no good at time management.
I can attest to this, people. I can attest to this.
And being involved in so many organizations, it forced me to get good at time management. So over the past year, I've been kind of working on my time management skills because I want to be as involved as possible in everything, and like maintaining my fine arts organizations and sports, academics, my social life, and like everything that comes along with it. Sorry, it's very difficult if you don't learn to prioritize your time. And I would also say the additional hardship that comes along with it is it's kind of scary to like make that jump and just be like, I want to be involved in everything possible. And it's like, you're kind of dividing your time, and like, you don't know if it'll work out. Like if you're joining it for the very first time right away, like it's kind of scary to make that jump. Like I know the moment I showed up for that audition and for my first ever show, I was petrified.
Yeah.
Like seeing like some people that have been doing this for 3-4 years, like the seniors were like so high level of acting, and I was down here not ready for any of it, and just making that jump was super scary, especially because all I had done for like since 6th grade was play basketball. And it's like I was sacrificing some of my time in the basketball season to go audition.
Sure.
Like I left practice early to go audition.
Yeah.
So it's like it's scary making that jump, but
It's a very Troy Bolton move of you.
it was a very Troy Bolton move of me. But I would say it is the best decision I've ever made. It ended up being so worth it. Not only have I grown as a person out of theater, I found a passion, like my life's passion. I found amazing new friends.
Yeah.
Like it broadened my view of just life in general. And like this whole other side of high school I never even knew existed. And like I really became a part of the fine arts program, and it what is the word? It opened many doors for me.
Okay. Awesome. So you were just kind of mentioning some of the rewarding aspects of being involved in both theater and basketball for you. You've had many opportunities to meet new people. A lot of the people who you just hang out with constantly. So like a lot of new lifelong friends, probably you would say. And you are also very good at both things as well.
Thank you.
In theater, you have gotten many good lead roles, or even if it's not a lead role, it's a good part. And then also in basketball, you're a starter, you play good minutes, and you have an impact on games. And it's just really fun to watch you grow in all of those things.
Thank you.
What would you say is some of the other rewarding aspects of being involved in both a fine art and a sport, or even just multiple organizations?
Ooh, I would say you definitely, like even outside of your school, you meet new people. Because I know specifically like for basketball, I've met a ton of competing players, and like I formed good friendships with a lot of them. Like even with rival schools, like you just get to know them so well, and like you play against them all the time in the summer or during the season. And for theater, I made the leap this summer to join the state board, and like some of the people that are on the state board are some of my best friends right now, and the relationships I'll treasure. Additionally, you also you feel more involved with your school, and it's like you're really seen as like a leader. It gives you a leadership position because you are involved in so many aspects. You just get this opportunity to be an outreach and a beacon for other people that want to do what you're doing, because you're setting an example, and whether or not you think so or not, people will look to you instinctively if they want to do what you are currently doing.
All right. So for this next section, we're going to move on to kind of the practicality of doing this. How are we able to be involved in multiple organizations at once? How are we able to do band and a sport, orchestra and a sport, theater and a sport. How are we able to do all of that? So I guess I'm just going to put this question on you. What are some practical strategies that you have found work best for you in blocking out your time to be involved in these different organizations?
Well, as long as it took me to get there, make a schedule. I hate doing it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I won't lie to you guys. Like, I'm not, like, in essence, when it comes to plotting out my personal life, I'm not very, like, organized. I'm a very go with the flow type of person.
Sure.
However, making a schedule and like knowing when I have things has been super beneficial because like I know how to dividend up my personal life as well, because that's a very important factor of high school and your academic life.
Yeah.
So knowing when you have your time and knowing when you don't. So it's like, let's say for the week, I know I have a project due on Friday, but I can't procrastinate it and for Thursday night because I know I have basketball practice and then right after I'm going to a tech rehearsal.
Yeah.
So I know when I have time and when I don't. So really plotting it out and making a schedule is one of the best practical things I could tell you. Additionally, people will beat it into your brain nowadays. Get sleep. You're going to need it. I'm awful about this as well, but I've been getting way better about it this year, specifically because I need the energy for how much I do in a day. You need to be getting recommended 8 hours. I know that's not realistic for some high school students. So if you're at least getting like 6.5 to 8 hours of sleep, you're doing all right. Also, eating regularly and drinking water. So I know that's like super basic life tips to just feel better, but like in the long run, I feel so much better in a day if I've ate a good breakfast and drank water throughout the day.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of those tips, they might seem basic, but I would say there's also a harder element of you have to actually work on making your schedule.
Yes.
What would you say? What do you use to make your schedule? Do you use Google?
I use for my personal calendar, I use the calendar app on the iPhone.
Sure.
It's not like it's already installed on your phone.
Absolutely.
It's very easy. You just need to punch it in, like figure out what the times are, and then it's already on there. And then like further for my marketing schedule, like when I have to post things on social media or when I have to drop a trailer or like when I have to release a poster, like I have that all plotted out on like Google Calendar. So it's like there's plenty of applications and opportunities for you to be very organized, and like there is for as many excuses as you can come up with, because believe me, I've made quite a few. There is no excuse to not be organized in this day and age of digital, like everything.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Those are a lot of practical and easy things. Like you said, the calendar app's already on our phone. It's really easy to do. I would also say, you mentioned the point about sleep or making sure that you are well rested enough in order to do those things. I'm a big proponent of making sure you take days off when you need days off, or making sure you hang out with friends when you need time with friends. I think that's a huge thing, especially for people in fine arts, I think, and sports too. It's very much you got to grind every day. You got to make sure you're putting in the work every day, when realistically humans need to take time off. We need to have time with friends every now and again as well, in addition to doing the work.
absolutely. To even like further that point, I would say like in a given week, I can't make it through the week if I'm constantly doing something, which
You need that time to recharge your social battery even.
absolutely, because like time with your friends is very important, because you are still in high school. You're still a teenager. Like you need to take time to just do other things, because you also want to be aware of burnout.
Yes.
Burnout is a huge problem because people nowadays are on the grind set, and like you need to get stuff done. And I'm a huge believer in like hard work and like getting your things done and doing the absolute most you possibly can, but safely, because you still want to be able to do the things you want to do over a long period of time. So make sure you're taking those breaks, and whether it's taking a whole day or whether it's just taking like an hour or two after a long day of rehearsals and practice to binge watch the new series on Netflix. Whatever it is for you, it's different for everyone else. So like whatever it is for you, go ahead. You deserve some time, but don't let taking breaks become an excuse for you also.
Yes.
So it's like there's a balance, and you need to be able to find that balance, and that balance is different for everyone. So try some things out.
Absolutely. So for this last section of the video, I think we've kind of already hit on some of these things, but just overarching, what would you say is the best piece of advice you would give to a student who is involved in both a sport and a fine art, or even just multiple different organizations? What is the best piece of advice you would give them right now?
I would say stick with it. This is a time in your life where you're not going to be able to do some of these things ever again. And coming from a person who's in their senior year, I wish I would have done theater sooner. So even like to the people who aren't necessarily involved in both, but might want to be, take the leap. If you want to try something or you want to do something, go for it. If you enjoy it, it will be worth it. I know it may seem like a lot of work right now, but trust me, it will be worth it, because you're going to have so much fun, and chances are, if you don't, you might regret not doing it. So just stick with it.
Nathan, that is fantastic. Thank you so much for being involved in this discussion and in this video. I'm sure the people watching are also really appreciative of it as well. I think you've said some really insightful and really just flat out encouraging things. So just thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So there you have it, the pros and cons of being involved in both fine arts and sports, as well as some very practical strategies for doing both at the same time. And if anything, I really hope that you walk away from this discussion feeling both encouraged and empowered that it is completely possible to do both activities at the same time. Because ultimately, you only get to be a student once, so you might as well make the most of it while you're there. But hey, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you never miss another video. Until then though, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.